And next, we got Carolina Baker says, uh, I'd love to think about marketing in terms of dreams for my clients, how to best articulate what they want versus what they don't. Okay, so Carolina, where are you zooming in from today?
Hi, thank you. From Portugal. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
you
is it
can.
Carolina or
Okay,
Carolina?
Carolina.
Carolina, okay.
Yeah. So I realized when you started talking to other people that you needed more information. So I put in a reply to my own thing as
Sure. Okay, I'll read this out.
you a
So
little bit more.
you said my niche is high achieving women that left corporate, but are now repeating the corporate rat race pattern in their own business, right? They feel undervalued, stressed, moving to burnout. What I think they want, a thriving, joyful business without being in a constant state of anxiety. Feel that's too vague and love to identify more specific language. Okay. I think generally that's great. Generally, I
Oh,
get it. I understand it. This is really important. I mean, it's just with a niche, we can get very fancy and specific, but let's just start with does it make any sense at all, right? Because the confused mind says no. That's important. The confused mind says no. If people don't understand even broadly what it is, they're swimming and they just back off. So I get that, right? They used to be in corporate, they've created a business, they've just recreated all the corporate dynamics in their own business. They're working themselves to death. You know, they're worse tyrant than their own boss was at corporate. Like that just makes sense to me intuitively. I can see how that would happen. So I think first of all, you're on track. I wouldn't worry too much about, you know, you're doing good. Um, and the thing I would say also, I've got the 70% rule in niching. If your niche
hmm.
is 70% clear, just fucking go with it. Just roll with it because you'll polish as you go. But a lot of people wait till they've got the niche 100% right before they even offer anything. And then uh, they think, oh, but it's not perfectly clear. No, the clarity comes from doing it and getting out there with it. So, okay. So one thing I would recommend, first of all, is draw it out. I mean, Ingrid Lill, this is where I really got this from. She's in Europe, and I think she's in the Netherlands, but she German woman, and she helps people draw out these things. And I recommend drawing out Island B, drawing out what do they want? Like what if you were to doodle the thing that they really want, what is it? What's included in this image? What are they craving? What's around them? Where are they physically? What time of day is it? Um, for example, maybe it's 5 o'clock and they're sitting at home and their laptop is closed on their desk. They've got a nice book, they've got a nice cup of tea, and they're just relaxing. Or they're out at dinner with friends at 5 and it's 5 p.m. on the wall because they're out, they're not at home, they're not on their laptop working still. They're enjoying whatever it is. Like, what is it that they're craving? Because you want to be able to show them the picture. Your ideal client, you show them this drawing and they're like, oh my God, I would love that. Yeah. What are they saying to themselves? What are other people saying? What's happening in their environment? And again, we don't want this to be too metaphorical. Metaphors are powerful. I'm a huge fan, but for this, we just want a real tangible picture. As if you do it with Island A, and you're trying to draw that, you could think about it like this. For Island A, people have a breaking point. Yeah, there's a point where two things happen. They realize this must change, not just that it could or should, but this must change. And number two, I need help. Those two things, right? And if you could go sort of back in time, to this client who's come to see you, who's a perfect client, and you're invisible and you got a camera, and you could take a photo of them at that breaking point, what would literally draw the photo? There they are at the desk, their hands like this, their laptops open, so many emails.
Hmm.
It's 11 p.m. and they're still working, and their kids are there crying, feeling whatever it is. It's kind of you get that in one picture. And then similar, what's the result they're craving? Like if you could go forward in time, at the moment where they realize, oh my God, I did it. The crossing the finish line moment, what would that photo look like? Um, and as always, it's really good to do the research on this. It's really good to ask people, like, what do you want? What are you craving? Like, if you could wave your magic wand and just have your life any way you wanted, what would it be? And then, you know, out of all those results, if you could only have one of them, what would it be? What would be the evidence? What's the marker that you're on track? Like, how would
Mhm.
you know if you got this thing? Oh, because I'd be able to sleep at night. Because, you know, okay, so maybe we draw the picture of them in bed sleeping soundly and it's 9 p.m. and, you know, etc. But you're doing great. I don't know, how does that all land for you?
It does. Thank you very much. I do have my, so all that you're drawing, I have it in my brain somewhere floating. But I don't have it on paper. And I guess that as long as it's somewhere in here, it's not specific enough because it sort of changes with whoever I talk to. Um, so yeah, it's I tend to adjust my story too much, and I guess that's because the clarity of like the island B and the breaking point, because I don't have that. And that's because probably because I have too many options to choose from. Um, but I should be able to pinpoint down like some kind of mutual thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would just try doodling. For most of you, I cannot recommend this highly enough, partly because it gets us into the creative brain a bit. It's not just writing and more words, wordsmithing everything, just doodling. You know, set a timer for an hour, get a marker, just let it be really shitty, and just start to draw. What's Island A for my ideal client? Who are they? Where are they? What do I know? More things will come, and then translate it back into words from there. But try drawing it out.
Can I make a quick request to the group? Anybody recognizes themselves? Can I interview you?
Okay, great question. Yeah, if any of you
Because,
come from the corporate world to the business world and it's still rough and it didn't change,
well, or you have been there, you got out of that,
ah,
and but you remember, then I would love to know. I do know. I think I can draw that out what it was. If there's
right.
people out there that recognize themselves, I would love to have some
Yeah.
kind of contact.
Okay, so feel free to put your email or something there. Now, another thing everyone you can do is if you're trying to hone this, you could just put on social media or email your list, say, I'd like to do a few interviews with people. Um, and one way Jonah Richmond, a colleague of mine, and George Cow would do sometimes is a swap. It's like, look, if you give me half an hour to interview you, I'll give you a half hour of free coaching. You know, so it's a good trade. You get free coaching, I get some info, and then you just ask them all the questions about Island A and Island B. You know, well, yeah, how was it for you? What was the breaking point? What was the toughest moment? Um, and yeah, what do you want, or what do you remember wanting? And you just ask, get their language because it's so critical that it's in their wording, right? It's language that they would use that they would understand. Because if we use jargon, we just we just lose them, or at least we don't grab them as strongly as we could. Their attention is like, oh, that's yeah, that's interesting. Um, like here's a good example of this. Is a woman who came to my retreat in London, Joe Byron Russell, and I just thought it's interesting sometimes how just in a phrase you can capture it. And I can't remember if this was my idea for her, if she came up with this herself, but she's a relationship coach. What happened to us? I just love this. You know, it's just, to me, it's an immediately gettable thing. You know, it's a phrase that we've heard, probably seen in movies, but like, you know, the couple looking, it's like, what happened to us? We used to be so in love. There's the kind of withered rose. I just think she does a great job. Right? Therapeutic coaching for couples in crisis. Boom. So what's Island A? You're a couple in crisis. That's Island 8. 3 words. It's fucking incredible. Right. And then, right, what the fuck happened to us? And then, anyways, this gets into point of view stuff, but look at this map. This is just incredible. Anyways, evolutionary.love is the website if you want to check it out. Yeah, I remember her and I working together on this. So there you go. Okay, well, thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you. Thank you. Brilliant.